with that, I'm going to share my screen. Just to give you a little bit of background on BeyondPricing. So we're a dynamic pricing solution for vacation rentals. We started a few years ago here in San Francisco. How we got started originally was our CEO, Ian McHenry, used to do pricing for hotels and airlines. So we used to write all of those pricing algorithms for them. And then he saw this need in the vacation rental space. And so that's how we kind of got started. We've grown quite a bit, and today we're pricing over 120,000 listings in over 1,000 markets around the world. So we've grown quite a bit and rapidly expanding. So with that, happy to jump into it. Cool. So this is BookingSync, obviously. Before we jump into how to connect BeyondPricing, let me just show you how to create an account on BeyondPricing. That's the first thing that you'll want to do. So if you just go to beyondpricing.com and then you click the join button right there, it will take you to a page that looks like this. Just enter your email, your password, and then create an account, all very simple. And then at that point, it will take you to a dashboard that looks like this. At that point, you don't need to do anything. The easiest thing to do is to go back to BookingSync, go down to apps. And then if you go to the App Center, you should be able to add BeyondPricing. Once you add it, you can click into it. And then that will just pull up BeyondPricing, pull up your dashboard as long as you're logged in. If not, then just log in. At this point, link your BookingSync account, click the link account button. Just give it a moment. It will take a little bit of time to import all of your listings. And that's it. We're linked. Very simple to do. And so at this point, it will pull in all of your listings and show them to you right here. The way what this is and the way this works is this is your dashboard. So you'll see all of your listings here as little cards. The name of the listing, picture, the fact that it's coming from BookingSync. You'll also see something called your health score and your booking percentages. So to explain what these are, the booking percentages just show you what percentage of the days are booked for the next 30 days and the next 90 days. So basically the immediate future. And the thinking there is you obviously don't want to have these be too low, because if they're too low, that means that you obviously have a lot of empty days and you're missing out on a lot of revenue. But at the same time, you don't want them to be too high, because if they're 90%, 100% with still a month to go or 90 days to go, that means that you're leaving money on the table, because about half of all Airbnb bookings actually occur in the last month. And so if you're already booked up, then you obviously can't get any more new bookings, and you're missing out on a lot of revenue. So you can probably at that point actually increase your price and still get booked. So that's how we like to think about it. Based on our analysis, we like to say that for the next 30 days, you ideally want to be at around 50%. And then for the next 90 days, you want to be at about 32%. And then this is obviously a new listing that we just set up right now. So we don't have any bookings at the moment. So we have very low booking percentages of 0. But then the health score is a combination of these two booking percentages. So we just use them to calculate this. And the health score goes from 1 to 100. Anywhere from 80 to 100 is generally good. It's normal for there to be some fluctuations just based on seasonality and just kind of what's happening with the listing as it moves through the calendar. But that being said, if it's lower than 80, then you probably want to go in here and change something. So at the moment, obviously it's 2 just because those are 0. But really this is meant as a feedback loop for you. It won't affect our prices directly, but it's just meant to tell you, hey, there's something going on with this listing. For some reason, it's not getting any bookings. You might want to take a look and adjust your prices. Generally, what we recommend is going in here about once a week, and then just popping in, looking at all of your listings, looking at the health score, maybe digging in a little bit more if necessary, and adjusting your prices from there. And I'll show you how to do that in 1 second. But so that's basically what this is. And then you'll see the sync prices slider right there. At the moment, it's set to the off position. That's the default. If you want to start syncing prices, you can just click on that. It will go to the on position, and then your prices will be updated within BookingSync in about half an hour. So all very easy and fast to do. If at any point, for whatever reason, you want to stop syncing with this listing on BookingSync, you can just turn that off, and then we won't be syncing anymore. So with that, let's click into this and let's take a look. Cool. So once you click into this, you'll again see the name of the listing, the picture, and you'll also see the status of it, the fact that it is currently syncing live to BookingSync. So it's great. This is the calendar view, and before we jump into it too much, the first two things that I want to show you are the base price and the minimum price. So the base price, quite honestly, is the most important thing that we have. If there's one thing that you get out of today's webinar, that's the base price. So think of this as the starting point for all of our fluctuations. So we'll automatically increase your price for high demand season, and we'll automatically decrease it for low demand season, but we need a starting point. And every single listing is highly unique. That's one of the things about the vacation rental space. So think of the base price as kind of how nice your listing is. Is it more of a Motel 6 or is it more of a Ritz-Carlton? So that's just kind of a way to capture that. Or if maybe your listing has any unique features, maybe it has a jacuzzi, or you recently remodeled it, you maybe have a nice TV or whatever else, this is also a way to capture that as well. And so again, we'll go above your base price during high demand season and then below it during low demand. And that way, this is about the median of all of your prices throughout the year. But that being said, we also understand that some owners don't want to go below a certain price just because it's not ROI positive for them. It just doesn't make sense. It's not profitable. And so because of that, we also have the minimum price. And so the thinking of this is even if our pricing algorithm is suggesting a lower price, this is the absolute hard floor we'll never go below. So in this case, it's set to 96. Just set it to 90. As you see, once I do that, there's a little button that pops up right here, Save and Sync. So if I'm happy with this, I can click that, and then it will automatically update on BookingSync. And then the other thing about this is I mentioned that we're going to go above the base price during high demand season and below it during low demand. But one question you're probably having right now is how do we do that exactly? And so there's a few factors that go into our pricing. The three main ones, though, are seasonality, day of the week, and then local events. So the way that works is whenever we're launching a new market, we take great care and we analyze it, and we have both machine learning and also a team of analysts. So we go through and we take a look at that, and then for seasonality, we figure out exactly which periods are more popular, less popular, but the winter, shoulder, things like that, and that's how we also look at the week for most weekends, obviously. Oh, looks like we had a bit of technical difficulties. Hopefully this is working again. But yeah, so with that, day of the week, weekends are typically the most popular. But that being said, you also might want to know exactly how much to increase your prices. And so that's why we also look at the day of the week factor. And then on top of that, we're able to detect any local events. And that's both recurring events that happen every year, for example, New Year's, as well as any kind of one-time events that are just happening this one year. So if we scroll down, what you'll see is a calendar with all of your prices optimized. And in this example, we're starting with, on this one day, we're starting with that base price of 192, as I said. Then we're going up $46 for seasonality, just because this is September. Yeah, and then we're also going down a little bit because of day of the week, because this is a Monday. And so that's how we end up with the, oops. Can you hear me now? Is this working better? Whoops.
Yeah, just got disconnected, but it's okay for me now.
Is it working now? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Just wanted to make sure.
Everything is okay for everyone for the sound?
I hear you.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect. Well, we can continue then. So as I was saying, in this case, we're starting with that price of 192. Then we're applying the seasonality factor, day of the week, and that's how we're ending up with the final price of 232. The other thing I should mention before we jump into this too much more, this specific listing is in San Francisco. So this is our hometown, San Francisco, California. And so the prices that you'll see here are optimized based on that. And so we optimize prices for the next year. So if you scroll through this, you can see all of those. One thing to note here is the darker bluish color. That just means that it's a high demand season, high demand period of time. The medium kind of blue is a medium demand, and then the lightish blue is the lowest demand. So that way, just at a glance, you can right away see what kind of demand we're seeing there. We also apply an automatic discount for last minute bookings. So in this case, since this is literally today, in this case, this is tomorrow, this is less than 3 days away. And so we're automatically also discounting for that if there's a vacancy to make sure that you're still getting as many bookings as possible, even if the price is a little bit lower. But it's better to still get a booking than stay empty. So scrolling down a little bit more, you can see all of your prices optimized like this. And one thing that will probably stand out to you right here is this week right there in early November, which is looking a little bit crazy if you don't know the context of this. And this, we're more than doubling prices on some of the days, which is a little bit crazy, especially considering this is November and this is generally low season and we're generally going down quite a bit. And so the reason that this is happening is this is Dreamforce. So for those that don't know, Dreamforce is Salesforce's yearly conference. They hold this every single year in San Francisco, and it brings in about 180,000 people to San Francisco. And with those 180,000 people, keep in mind that San Francisco itself only has about 35,000 hotel rooms. So there's a ton of excess demand. And so with all of that demand, people have to stay somewhere. So all of that goes to either hotels in neighboring cities as far as 2 hours away, and also to vacation rentals. And so this is why because we're able to see that massive spike in demand, we're able to identify that as an event. And in this case, we're increasing prices quite a bit. So that's one of the benefits of using BeyondPricing, dynamic pricing in general, because they're able to capture that kind of forward-looking massive spikes in demand. So this is generally how that looks. And then in this case, you also see a small increase for New Year's as well, since that tends to be a little bit quite a bit popular in San Francisco. Cool, so that's the calendar. And again, this goes all the way up to the next year, and you can see all of your prices that way. The next thing I'll just show you is the market data page. So here you can see some of the complicated data that's actually going into our algorithm and why we're increasing prices. So in this case, here you can see the neighborhood occupancy for the previous year. And so that I don't go too fast, just to take a small second here and explain how we classify neighborhoods. Basically, we're looking at the city itself, and then we're breaking that down into clusters. And then beyond that, we're also breaking it down as neighborhoods in those clusters. And the way that works is basically we're taking about 200, 300 listings that are nearby you, and then we're breaking that down based on bedroom size to end up with about 50, 60 of ones that are behaving similarly to yours, and then we compare to those. And this is all done automatically behind the scenes, so you don't have to do anything, but just so you understand, it's hyperlocal and it's not just the city in general. So for example, in San Francisco, there's some events that might happen in one part of the city, but they won't necessarily affect demand in a different part of the city just because of where it is. If there's a music festival, for example. And so because of that, we're breaking it down like that hyperlocally. And so when that happens, we're only increasing prices in that one region. And then in other clusters, if there's maybe a smaller increase in demand, we'll still increase it, but not as much. Or if there's no increase at all, then we won't increase at all. And so this is the previous year. And as you can see the occupancy for every single day. So in this case, you can see that small spike right there for New Year's, considering before that was about 68%, and then going up for actual New Year's to about 78%. So that's why we're increasing prices for that period. And then going further down, you can also compare this to the neighborhood occupancy for the upcoming year. So this is how it's booking up for this upcoming year. And obviously, since these months right there are still a few months away, it doesn't look exactly like the one above. But as we get closer to it, we expect it to book up similarly. So if we go to New Year's, for example, you can see that small spike already starting to form right there. Seems like there's a bit of a spike also for Christmas this year. So we're able to detect that and comparing it to last year and how they were working last neighborhood, and this like compares to able to see what is meant that one. And right there, you can see this massive spike for Dreamforce. So this is what I was talking about earlier in early November with that Salesforce conference. So a week before, it was at occupancy was at about 58%. And then already, even though it's 2 months away, it's already going up to about 69%. That's a massive increase. And this is still 2 months away, so a lot of people still haven't even booked yet. And so because of that, we're able to identify that and say, hey, you know what? There's actually crazy demand for this. And so we're increasing prices. And the other thing I'll show you is nearby listings. So this is a pretty cool feature. We actually just launched this a little while ago, about 2 months ago. We acquired one of our competitors called SmartHost, and then we incorporated some of their technology with some of the stuff that we were working on to create this feature. And basically what this shows you is your listing right there, and then it shows you comparable listings in the area that we're seeing on Airbnb and HomeAway. And for these, one of the questions we get is about privacy. Don't worry there. This is not based on our data. This is just based on publicly available data on these websites. And we intentionally take out all BeyondPricing customers for privacy concerns. And so because of that, if you're using BeyondPricing, don't worry. We're not going to be exposing your data. We're just using publicly available data of other people, and we'll specifically exclude your listing. And with that, just to explain how this can be useful, we don't necessarily take competitors into account with our pricing algorithms directly, just because you don't want to be copying off of a poor student. If other people are not pricing correctly, then we don't want to be putting those prices into our algorithm and then giving you bad prices. And so that's why we focus more on demand and occupancy in the area rather than prices of competitors. But that being said, if you're just getting started or you just want to get a sense of how other people are doing, you can go in here and you can look at other listings and you can see, oh, well, this listing right there in the Castro is going for about $425 a night. And it's booked at a fairly good rate, actually. It has a really good health score. And it's going for a lot higher than my place is, let's say. And in that sense, if you look at this, one of the things you might want to do is go into actually Airbnb and take a look at the listing. And then you can try to figure out why that's happening. And every vacation rental is unique. And so if you go into this, you'll probably see that maybe this is a very nice listing. Maybe it has something that my listing doesn't. And then that can just be a good indicator of what the market looks like. And with all of the listings we're showing you here, we're taking only ones that have reviews. I believe it's 4 reviews, and then ones that are also performing decently well and are comparable. Excuse me. And so in that sense, this is a segment of listings that's good to compare to, and this can just be a good indicator of how the market's doing. And with these, if you're just starting out, this can be a great place to understand just what the market is like and how other people are doing and where to set your base price. And then at the top, there's a little switch right there between Airbnb and HomeAway, and that way you can see both listings on HomeAway and on Airbnb. Cool. Well, I think that's all of the stuff that I wanted to cover. If we want to open it up to Q&A or any other questions that people have.
Which countries do you cover at the moment?
It's a great question. So we support a number of countries. The way that we look at those is by city. And so it really just comes down to the actual city. But that being said, we do support France, and we support most countries in Europe. And we're actually currently focused on launching a lot of new markets. So we're going to be launching about 100, 200 cities in the next couple of weeks. And so with that, my recommendation is we're constantly launching new markets. And so the best thing to do is just to connect your BookingSync account to BeyondPricing. And then you'll see right away if your city is currently live. And if it's not live and you're not taking prices, we obviously won't charge you anything. And so it's completely free in that sense.
but I'm using a different system right now. Isn't there just a list on your website or somewhere else?
There is a list on our homepage. If you want to go to that, you can see a list right there. I will just also caution that this list is slightly out of date just because we've been able to launch a lot of new markets in the last couple of weeks already. And so we just haven't had a chance to update this yet. Is there a city in particular that you're curious about?
Well, I'm interested about Tallinn, Estonia, for example.
I'd have to check. I'm not sure. I believe that's one of the cities that's coming in the next 2 weeks, though.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions about Beyond Pricing or pricing strategies in general?
No, all clear.
Awesome. That's always great to hear. Hopefully this was useful for everyone.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Ruman, how should we do this? Do you have any questions, or should we end the webinar?
I have a quick question.
Yep, totally.
I'm looking at on my account in the nearby listings.
Yep.
And I see it looks like there's icons in the listings here, one for HomeAway and then one looks like it's for Beyond Pricing.
Yes.
So are these properties on Beyond Pricing, and are they showing, I can see other people's properties in Beyond Pricing?
That's a great question, and I've gotten this question quite a bit. So with this, we're not showing you Beyond Pricing customers, so don't worry there. The HomeAway icon will lead to this listing on HomeAway. The Beyond Pricing icon, just to explain what that is, it will just take the data on HomeAway, and it will just give you a preview of what those prices would look like if they were using Beyond Pricing. So in this case, this is not a Beyond Pricing customer, but actually if you also go to our homepage, there's a little demo button right there. And if you click on that, you can just paste in your listing if it's on Airbnb or HomeAway, and then we'll give you the same exact preview. And so that's just the exact same thing, but just for this listing that we see on HomeAway.
All right.
Cool. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yep.
Perfect.
And so the easiest way to fix your health score, if you have a bad health score, is to adjust your base rate, right?
Oh, yep, that's a great question, and apologies that I didn't specifically cover that. Yeah, so if your health score is too low, if it's below 80, then you're absolutely right, and the way to adjust that is with the base price. With FAIR, if it's too low, the next thing you want to look at is the booking percentages. And so if it's overbooked, then you'll want to increase your base rate. If it's underbooked, then you'll want to decrease it. There, we recommend only adjusting it about 5 to 10% each way, not more than that. And then if you adjust that 10%, then wait a week and just see what happens. If the booking pace changes, if your health score changes, and then make any further adjustments from there. And the reason there is you just don't want to make too sudden of adjustments because then things can just get a little crazy. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Perfect.
And then finally, we're a seasonal vacation rental company, so we close in the winter.
Got it.
Is that going to, like, I'm looking ahead to next summer and looking at health scores. Is that going to impact my
your
rates
health score
next year?
Right. So that won't impact your rates. The health score is just a feedback loop. so we don't take the health score into account in any way in terms of actually setting our prices. It's just meant as feedback for you to say, hey, there's something wrong here. But in that sense, if you're blocking off the winter and you see a low health score, that's something wrong. It's just the fact that you're blocking off the winter. And so that's not actually something wrong. That's something that totally makes sense. So that's completely fine. And so in that sense, it won't affect your rates in any way. And it will just drop your health score. But then as soon as you unblock those or you get past the winter, you'll start to get bookings again, and then it'll be completely fine.
Okay, thanks.
Yep, totally. Oh, we got a question about Booking.com. That's a good question. So we are working on this. Most of our users have said that for them it's a fairly small channel. But that being said, we are working on integrating directly with Booking.com. Excuse me. And so we're hoping to roll this out in the near future. It's not ready just yet, but it will be at some point.
If you go through BookingSync, though, then will it work? If you're set up with BookingSync to do Booking.com, these rates should go through, right?
That should work, yes.
Okay.
Definitely, because there we just sync to BookingSync, and then BookingSync just syncs to those platforms.
Sergey, maybe you could talk about your pricing.
Oh yes, that's a great question. So with that, we charge 1.25%, so that's 1.25% of all bookings. That's including fees, excluding taxes. With those, though, you do also get a 1-month free trial. So there's no contract, no commitment there. You can sign up, you can test this, and then if it's not working for you, you're welcome to just turn syncing off and cancel. But that being said, if you're happy with it and you continue, that's 1.25% after that. We won't charge you for any bookings that occur during that first month. You get to keep those completely free, and that's just our way of making sure that you're absolutely happy with the platform. And most of the hosts using us will see an increase in revenue of anywhere from 10 to 40%, so that more than offsets the pricing.
Okay. So, any other question? No? We have another one.
Oh, got a question about health score. So somebody's saying that they have 2 different health scores. They have a score of 87 and a score of 93 between HomeAway and Airbnb. And so I'm happy to clarify this. With this, we take blocked dates on your calendar into account as booked. And so because reservations between those two, if your calendars are synced, will sometimes appear as blocked, that will just impact the health score calculation. And so sometimes it might be a little bit off. That being said, the health score is just a feedback loop for you, so that doesn't affect our prices. So that will occur slightly, but there's no cause for concern there. And in terms of minimums, I'm not sure if that was the question, but you can set a minimum price on the calendar. And then if you also want to, on the customized tab, you can also set seasonal minimums. So if, for example, in December, you don't want to go below a certain price, you can also set that and just set a different price for that period. And that's just right there. Awesome. Cool. Seems like I answered that one. And the other thing I'll just mention, because I didn't get to this earlier, is how often do we sync prices and how does that work? So with that, we will automatically update our pricing based on changes in demand that we're seeing in the market every 24 hours. So every single day at midnight, we'll look at that and we'll update your prices based on what we're seeing. We generally won't change them too much day over day, so you don't need to worry and you don't need to go in here every single day. But that being said, they might adjust maybe a few dollars here and there, unless there's something absolutely crazy going on in the market where maybe a new music festival is announced and all of a sudden everyone started booking Airbnbs. In that case, we will increase your prices, but except for that, it won't change too much. And then once we update those prices on our end, we'll also automatically sync to your BookingSync account every 24 hours. So again, at midnight, we'll automatically sync that, and those prices will just go in there. if you make any manual changes on BeyondPricing itself, those will sync almost immediately. There might be a bit of a delay of about like half an hour or so, but then except for that, it will sync. And with those changes, that's changing your base rate, changing your minimum price. Or another thing that you can do that apologies, I slipped my mind earlier, is if for whatever reason you don't like our prices and you want to change those. For example, maybe for this weekend, I want to have a lower rate because I want to make sure that I'm absolutely totally booked. I can select those on the calendar, and then I can just pop in and I can type in a new price. Let's say I'm going to put in 200 here, and I'm going to click out, and then it's just going to stay like that. And so the fact that it's pink, that's just an indicator that, hey, there's a manual override in place here. So even if BeyondPricing is predicting a different price, it's not going to be changed. It's just going to stick this way until you go in and actually cancel it like that. Cool, and then we got another question of, I have a 66% booked in the next 30 days. How do I bring that back down to 50, which is the recommended amount? So if you're booked at 66% for the next month, that means that you're a bit overbooked, and you're probably leaving a little bit of money on the table. And so with that, my recommendation would be to bump your base price up about 10%. So if this was your listing, you could bump it up about like $19. If you didn't want to be that aggressive, you could do about 15. But generally here, I would recommend about 19, 20 bucks. And with that, just keep in mind that it will obviously take some time for those changes to reflect on your health score, just because if you're currently booked at 66%, it will take some time for all of those dates to actually move into the future. And sorry, that is the base price. So I would recommend adjusting the base price there. It will take a bit of time for those dates to move into the future and for those new empty dates to come in and for those new bookings based on that new base rate to register. Yeah, and with the minimum price, that's just the like absolute hard floor that you don't want to go below. But with that, if you're willing to set it a little bit lower, that's helpful, just because that means that our pricing algorithm has more wiggle room during periods of low demand. And we'll obviously, our goal is to make you as much money as possible, so we won't go down too much. But if we're seeing very low demand, then we'll bump it down as much as we have to, but still try to keep it as high as possible. So we're not going to hit your minimum just because it's there. We're going to be trying to still get you the highest price possible while still getting you booked. Yeah. Cool. And if anyone else has any...
Well, no more questions this time? Okay. Sergey, it's okay for you? You have more information to share?
No, I think that's it. Sorry, I know there was a lot of information, but hopefully this was very useful for people.
I have one more question.
Yep.
When you go into customize, so say there's a rate period that you want to drop your minimum stay, for instance, will that override what's set in BookingSync? So, for instance, if BookingSync is set to 7-night minimum and recognize that you're open for that time period and you want to drop it down to a 3-night minimum, if you make that change in BeyondPricing, will that carry through to BookingSync for online booking, or do we change it in BookingSync as well?
That's a great question. So with that, if you have minimum stays, you will want to set those on BeyondPricing, just because those are tied to your prices. And so because of that, they need to be set on our end so we can send that to BookingSync correctly. And so with those, if you start using BeyondPricing, just make sure you set those right here. And then we'll automatically push that. And any changes that you make on BookingSync with the minimum stays, we will override. Yeah, and with this, this is the default, so this is what we have generally. And then if you want to set this to a higher amount for maybe Christmas, then that's how you can do that.
Okay.
But yeah, you will want to set that on here.
Okay, no more. Okay. So thank you everyone, and we will share this video if you want to take a look on the screen, and you also can connect to Sergey. We share the contact if you have any question about Beyond Pricing. Thank you, and have a great rest of day. I don't know where your browse is. Sergey will share maybe your email or sales email for to everyone, and if someone wanted to test or have any question.
Absolutely. If anyone has any questions or any issues with setting this up, definitely feel free to shoot me an email, and I'm more than happy to help.
Okay. Thank you.
And thanks so much for having me on this too.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.